Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into silencing that inner critic. The one that just seems to get louder in social situations.
Ugh, it's the worst.
We've got a ton of research and personal anecdotes to go through today,
Sounds good.
all promising to help us build confidence and deeper connections with the people around us.
I like it.
And one thing that I found really interesting in the research is that the key to this isn't exactly like faking it till you make it.
Okay.
But it's more about a genuine shift in how we approach interactions.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's something that I've noticed too. It's
Okay.
really about, cultivating an internal state that kind of radiates outward
Oh, that's good.
instead of, putting on a show.
Yeah.
Gotta be genuine.
So the first strategy in the research that we'll talk about is this idea of focusing outward.
Okay.
It sounds pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
But the source material really emphasizes that it's not just about, being physically present.
Right.
It's about truly shifting our attention away from our own anxieties and onto the person that we're with.
Yeah, just getting out of your own head.
Yeah. So, practically speaking, how do we do that?
Well, I think it's helpful to, when you're really curious about someone else
Yeah.
and you're really actively trying to understand their perspective, you're way less likely to get caught up in your own self-doubt.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It's almost like your attention has a limited bandwidth, right?
Okay.
So if you're directing it outwards, you naturally quiet that inner critic.
So it's not just about being present, it's about being mentally present.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that I really struggle with sometimes.
Yes, for sure. Me too.
Because I think I can appear to be present, but really I'm thinking about a million different things.
Totally.
So I love that.
Yeah.
And the research suggests that this outward focus can actually make us more attractive to other people.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Why is that?
I think it's because it translates into genuine engagement.
Mm.
You're picking up on all of their subtle cues, tone of voice, body language,
Yeah.
those little nervous gestures we all have.
Right.
And people can feel, when you're truly paying attention to them,
Yeah.
it makes them feel seen.
I've noticed that in my own interactions as well.
Yeah.
When I'm actually genuinely curious about the person I'm talking to,
Yeah,
I feel so much more relaxed and present.
for sure.
And it's the conversation just flows naturally.
Exactly. And that ease, that naturalness is such a powerful signal of confidence.
Yeah.
And it shows that you're not, like you said, super concerned with your own performance,
Right.
which paradoxically makes you so much more attractive and engaging.
Okay. I love that. So focusing outward is step number one.
Yeah.
But what about this idea of embracing imperfection?
Yeah, this is a big one.
Because we're constantly told to strive for, flawlessness and airbrushing and all this stuff. So this one feels a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah.
So what's the thinking behind that?
I think it's helpful to think about, the people that you find the most engaging and the most relatable.
Okay.
Are they the ones that seem perfectly polished?
No way.
Or the ones that are comfortable enough to laugh at themselves,
Mm.
admit their mistakes, and be a little vulnerable?
I much prefer to connect with someone who's authentic
Me too.
than someone who seems like they're trying to project an image of perfection.
Definitely.
It's so exhausting.
And I think the research highlights this too, that, imperfection actually creates a space for genuine connection.
Yeah.
It allows both people to kind of relax and be themselves without that pressure
Right.
of having to be perfect.
One of the examples that I loved from the source material was talking about mispronouncing someone's name.
Oh, yeah.
And instead of trying to cover it up, just kind of turning it into a playful joke.
Totally. Yeah, make it lighthearted.
Yeah, and just being like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
Yeah. Ain't it?
I totally butchered that.
It shows that you're human. Like you said, you don't take yourself too seriously.
So it's about disarming those anxieties,
Yeah.
both for yourself and for the other person,
Oh, sure.
by acknowledging the imperfections and not trying to hide them.
Yeah, just be yourself.
You're signaling that it's okay to be themselves,
Exactly.
which, makes them feel more comfortable.
If you both feel more comfortable.
Okay, so we talked about focusing outward and embracing imperfection.
Yeah.
But how do we actually quiet that inner critic when it just starts to spiral?
Right. It can be loud.
I know.
Yeah.
So the research talks about cultivating presence, which is kind of a recurring theme that we see.
Yeah.
So in a practical sense, what does that mean?
I think presence is really about, being fully engaged in the moment,
Okay.
both mentally and emotionally, letting go of past regrets and future worries,
Right.
and really just focusing on the here and now,
Yeah,
which sounds really simple,
it does.
but it's something that takes practice.
it really does cause our minds are constantly jumping from one thought to the next.
Rightfully.
You know, the to-do list or what we're making for dinner, or, you know, whatever it might be.
All of the things.
So the source material talks about taking deep breaths and grounding yourself before a social interaction.
Right.
Is that something that you find helpful?
Totally. Even just a few conscious breaths
Yeah.
can really help shift your focus from, you know, the swirling thoughts in your head
Right.
to like the physical sensations in your body.
Yeah.
And it's really grounding, you know?
It's almost like hitting the reset button on your nervous system.
Totally. Yeah. Just kind of recalibrating.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we're present, we can actually exude this calmer, more confident energy,
For sure.
which makes sense, right? If you're not distracted by all these anxious thoughts, you can just focus on the interaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And presence allows you to tap into that deeper level of authenticity.
Okay.
And that is what truly resonates with others. It signals that you're comfortable in your own skin, which is like so magnetic.
Totally.
Okay.
Okay, so now let's talk about something a little bit more lighthearted.
Okay.
Playful banter.
Oh, I love banter.
This is like the art of lighthearted teasing that keeps the conversation fun and engaging.
Yeah. Keeps it light.
Almost like a secret weapon for building rapport.
Totally.
What do you think?
I think banter can be, you know, a subtle but really powerful tool for connecting with others.
Okay.
It shows that you're, you know, comfortable enough to poke fun,
Yeah.
not take things too seriously.
Right.
Which can be really disarming, but of course it's important to strike the right tone.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
don't want to cross the line and be mean-spirited.
Right.
One of the examples that they gave was teasing someone about, you know, their dislike of pineapple on pizza,
A classic.
which is lighthearted and playful. You know, it's not something that would genuinely offend someone.
Right. It's all in good fun.
It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
where you can inject humor and playfulness without making someone uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And when it's done well, it can really spark a connection
totally.
and make the conversation more enjoyable for everyone.
For sure.
Okay, so we've got focusing outward, embracing imperfection, cultivating presence, and mastering playful banter.
It's a lot.
It is a lot, but I think a lot of us really struggle with seeking validation from others,
Oh, yeah.
which can undermine our confidence.
For sure.
So the source material addresses this directly, saying that needing that constant approval can really stem from insecurity.
Yeah. That's so common.
It is, and
Oh.
it can keep us stuck in the cycle of self-doubt.
Absolutely. And when we're constantly seeking validation, you know, from other people, we're essentially giving our power away.
That's good, yeah.
We're saying that our worth depends on their approval.
And it's exhausting.
It is so exhausting.
I love that.
Yeah.
The research suggests a pretty radical shift.
Okay, I'm interested.
Instead of trying to win someone over, we should just try to enjoy the interaction itself.
I love that.
So it's about shifting from a place of chasing to a place of inviting.
Yes.
So what does that look like, practically speaking?
I think it's about, you know, approaching interactions with a sense of curiosity and openness
Yeah.
rather than like an agenda.
Right.
It's about being present, being authentic,
Yeah.
and letting go of the need to control the outcome.
So it's about focusing on the quality of the interaction itself
Exactly.
rather than the result.
Yeah.
That's an interesting concept.
And it can be really liberating.
Okay.
When you're not constantly seeking approval,
Yeah.
you just naturally project this aura of self-assurance,
Right.
which is way more attractive
Right.
than, you know, trying to please everyone.
It's like saying, hey, this is who I am, take it or leave it.
Exactly.
And that confidence is so appealing
Totally.
because it signals that you're not desperate for approval,
Right.
which paradoxically makes you more desirable.
It's funny how that works.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got focusing outward, embracing imperfection, cultivating presence, mastering playful banter, and letting go of the need for validation.
It's a lot to remember.
It is a lot. These are all fantastic tools
Yeah.
for building confidence and connection.
They really are.
But there's one more concept from the source material that might feel a bit daunting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Embracing vulnerability. I know, right?
This one's tough.
But vulnerability is often misunderstood.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not about oversharing or spilling your deepest, darkest secrets.
Right.
It's about being authentic and allowing yourself to be seen.
Yeah.
even in those imperfections.
That's the hard part.
Yeah, it's not about weakness.
Right.
It's about having the courage to be real.
To be yourself.
And the source material makes the point that vulnerability can actually be a powerful tool for building trust and deepening connections.
Interesting.
I know.
Counterintuitive.
It is.
Yeah.
One of the examples that they gave was sharing a personal childhood memory when asked a question, instead of giving like a more generic answer.
Interesting, yeah.
You know?
So showing a little bit of yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's about letting people see a glimpse of your true self.
Okay.
Which can be really disarming and endearing.
I like that.
It's about creating a space for genuine connection.
Yeah.
Where both parties feel safe to be themselves.
That's the goal.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, but I'm already feeling inspired
You do.
to put some of these strategies into practice.
It's good stuff.
What about you?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's amazing how, these small shifts in our thinking can have such a big impact on our interactions.
I know, it's like we've been approaching social situations with all these like invisible rules
Yeah.
that are actually holding us back
Right.
from truly connecting with others.
And one of those is, the emphasis on verbal communication.
Okay.
We often forget that our nonverbal cues, like body language and tone of voice,
Right.
can speak volumes.
Yeah.
Sometimes even more than our words.
So it's not just about what we say, but how we say it.
Exactly.
And the source material dives into some of those specific nonverbal cues that can really convey confidence and warmth.
Yeah, things like, open posture, a relaxed demeanor, good eye contact,
Right.
genuine smiles, and even appropriate touch.
Okay.
These are all signals that we're approachable, engaged, and interested.
And those cues need to be genuine
Oh, yeah, for sure.
because people can tell when you're like forcing a smile
Right, you can totally tell.
or trying too hard to appear confident.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic.
It's about aligning our internal state with our external expression.
Totally.
So when we're genuinely feeling confident and at ease, those nonverbal cues just naturally flow.
Exactly.
So it's not about faking it, it's about cultivating that inner confidence that radiates outward.
That's the goal.
And when our nonverbal communication is congruent with our words,
Right,
it creates that authenticity that people are drawn to.
for sure.
Okay, so we talked about the importance of nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
But what about listening?
Oh, listening is huge.
I know the source material really emphasizes this power of active listening. Yeah,
Which seems to be like a key theme in all of this.
definitely.
What is active listening?
Active listening is, fully engaging with the other person,
Okay.
mentally and emotionally. Being present in the moment,
Yeah.
paying attention to not just their words,
Right.
but their tone of voice, their body language, all those little cues.
So truly hearing what they're saying, not just waiting for our turn to speak.
Exactly.
Ah.
And the source gives some practical examples of, how to practice active listening.
Okay, like what?
Like nodding to show understanding,
Okay.
not interrupting,
Right.
responding thoughtfully by, referencing specific things they've said
Okay.
and acknowledging their emotions.
Those seem like small things,
Yeah.
but I know they make such a big difference
Oh, they totally do.
in feeling heard and understood.
For sure.
So active listening is a powerful way to build rapport and deepen those connections.
Absolutely. It shows that you value their perspective.
Yeah.
And that you're genuinely interested. Okay, so we've got focusing outward, embracing imperfection, cultivating presence, mastering playful banter, letting go of the need for validation, embracing vulnerability, paying attention to those nonverbal cues, and practicing active listening.
Wow, that's a lot.
I know.
We've covered a lot.
It's like a whole toolkit for building confidence and connection.
It is.
But there's one more piece that we haven't discussed yet,
Okay.
which is this concept of leading the interaction.
Oh, interesting.
I know this one might sound a little bit intimidating,
Yeah.
but it's not about dominating the conversation
Really?
or trying to control the other person.
Okay, good.
When I hear leading the interaction, I kind of think about, someone who's like trying to steer it
Right.
in a very specific direction,
Yeah.
which can feel pushy.
Totally.
So how is this different?
So it's important to distinguish between leading and controlling.
Okay.
Leading the interaction is about, confidently guiding the conversation
Okay.
in a way that's enjoyable for both people. It's about taking initiative and injecting energy and direction.
So being an active participant
Yeah,
rather than passively waiting for things to happen.
exactly.
Yeah.
And the source gives some good examples of how to do this.
Like what?
Like sharing a funny story,
Okay.
suggesting a new topic,
Yeah.
proposing a future activity.
Okay, so bringing something to the table.
Yeah, adding value to the interaction.
And that confidence and that initiative can be attractive.
Totally. It shows that you're not afraid to take the lead,
Right.
which can create a sense of security and direction.
So not being domineering, but taking ownership of the interaction.
Exactly.
And making it something that both people enjoy.
Yeah, making it a shared experience.
I love how all of these strategies kind of build upon each other.
Me too.
It's not just about like mastering one technique.
Right.
It's about cultivating a mindset
Yeah.
that embraces authenticity and presence and genuine connection.
That's the key.
So how do we actually put all of this into practice?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's something that we'll explore more in depth next.
Okay.
Let's take some of these concepts
Okay.
and see how they might play out
Yeah.
in different social scenarios.
All right, so we've spent all this time talking about strategies to like quiet that inner critic
Yeah,
and build authentic connections.
for sure.
But how do we like actually put this into practice
Right.
in real life?
That's the
So
question.
let's walk through a few examples.
Okay, I like it.
Let's say you're at like a networking event,
Okay.
feeling totally overwhelmed.
Ugh, I hate networking events.
Yeah.
So awkward.
What's the first step?
I think you got to shift your focus
Okay.
away from like all those anxieties.
Okay, so all those thoughts, like, what if no one talks to me?
Yep, all of those.
What if I seem awkward?
Totally.
And instead focus on, finding someone you genuinely want to connect with.
Yeah, just one person.
Okay, so orienting yourself towards curiosity
Right,
rather than fear,
exactly.
setting a more positive tone.
I like it.
Okay, so you see someone who seems interesting.
Okay,
What's next?
go talk to them.
Okay, so instead of overthinking the perfect opening line,
Yeah, just go for it.
I just approach them with like a genuine smile
Yeah?
and a simple greeting.
Like what?
Maybe something like, hey, I'm really enjoying this talk on topic.
Perfect.
Have you heard them speak before?
That's great. It's open-ended.
Yeah.
Leave space for them to talk.
And while I'm talking, I'm trying to remember all those nonverbal cues,
Yeah.
maintaining open posture, making eye contact,
Right.
really trying to listen.
Not just thinking about what you're going to say next.
Oh, yeah, that's hard.
It is, but those subtle cues, they really matter.
Yeah,
They can really make someone feel seen.
totally. Okay, so let's say there's a little bit of an awkward silence.
Okay.
What can we do?
I panic in those moments.
I know, me too.
So much pressure.
So instead of panicking,
Okay.
we embrace the imperfection of the moment.
All right, I like it.
Make a little self-deprecating joke.
Give me an example.
Maybe something like, I'm usually much more eloquent after a cup of coffee.
Perfect. Or it's relatable.
Yeah.
Everyone's had that moment.
Wow, this is awkward.
It breaks the ice.
And if the conversation starts flowing,
Okay.
maybe look for an opportunity to inject a bit of vulnerability
Okay.
by sharing a personal anecdote about something they've mentioned.
Vulnerability is scary, but it's so powerful.
Yeah, and it takes courage to
Right.
share a piece of yourself.
But it signals that trust and authenticity,
Yeah.
and hopefully they'll open up too.
Okay, new scenario.
Great.
We're at a dinner party,
Okay.
and someone makes a comment you totally disagree with.
I hate when that happens.
It's so uncomfortable.
Especially when you want to be liked.
Yeah.
It's tough.
So how do we navigate that?
You don't have to agree with everyone to have a good conversation.
Okay, so instead of jumping in to argue my point,
Right.
take a breath
Yeah, just pause.
and try to understand their perspective. Ask a clarifying question or two.
To see where they're coming from.
It shows that you're actually interested in their point of view,
Right.
even if you don't share it.
And you might even learn something.
Yeah, and if I still disagree after hearing them out,
Okay.
I can express my own perspective
Yeah.
calmly and respectfully without feeling the need to convince them.
Right. You're not trying to win.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
I've learned so much.
I feel like I have a whole new set of tools
too.
to approach social situations.
Yeah, it's all about practice.
Keep practicing, and it will become more natural and effortless.
The more you do it, the easier it gets.
And as we become more skilled at silencing that inner critic,
Yeah.
we'll find ourselves connecting with others on a deeper level.
That's the goal.
So as
Yeah.
you go about your day, try out just one of these strategies.
Yeah, just one.
Notice how it shifts the dynamic,
Pay attention.
how it impacts your confidence.
And the connections you create.
I think the most important takeaway for me is that genuine confidence doesn't come from being perfect
Right.
or pleasing everyone.
It comes from being yourself.
Embracing our authentic selves,
Right.
imperfections and all.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I think true connection comes from, approaching interactions with curiosity,
Yeah.
generosity,
Yeah.
and a willingness to be vulnerable.
So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive
It's been a pleasure.
into the art of silencing your inner critic
Yeah.
and building meaningful connections.
Until next time.
Keep exploring, keep connecting, and most importantly, keep being yourself.